In this video, we're going to look at non-traditional algorithms for subtraction. So for subtracting, there are 5 different non-traditional algorithms that we're going to talk about. Hopefully some of them look familiar from non-traditional addition algorithms. Adding up or finding the difference is going to be the one that is different, that we haven't used with addition. But then we have subtracting by place value, decomposing. We have constant difference, which is similar to give and take. In subtraction, we would call it give and give or take and take, and we'll discuss why. And then we can use compensating for subtraction as well. All right, so let's start with adding up or finding the difference. So for finding the difference, we're going to use the problem 346 minus 152. Okay, and I think the most visually pleasing way to think about this problem is to put it on a number line. And so I'm going to plot these numbers very abstractly on my number line so that 152 is smaller, it should be on the left, and 346 is larger, so it should be on the right. And all I'm going to do is find the difference. I'm going to see how many ones, tens and hundreds, are in between these two numbers. And I'm going to do this in chunks or amounts that make it easier for me to add. And so the first chunk with 152, I'm going to get to the next closest 10. So that means I'm going to add 8 and get to 160. From 160, I am then going to add another chunk that makes it easy, and that's going to be to get to the next 100. So I'm going to add 40, and I'm going to get to 200. Okay, I'm going to keep going. 200, well, I have to go to 346, so let me go ahead and get all the way to 300, and I'm going to do that by adding 100. Okay, now I can chunk this off. It might make it easier for me to add up everything in the end, or I can do it in one big chunk, but let me just go ahead and do a smaller chunk so I can add a little bit easier numbers here. So I'm going to break up that 46 into 40 and 6. And now my job is to figure out how much is the difference between these. How much did I add up from 152 to 346? 100 plus 40 plus 40 plus 8 plus 6. Okay, well, that shouldn't be too difficult. 180 plus 8 plus 6. Okay, and then we have 188 plus 6. I'm going to use my fingers for that, is 194. So the difference between 346 and 152 is 194. All right, let's move to the next strategy that we can use for subtracting, and that is subtracting by place value. For this problem, we're going to do 287 minus 146. So I'm going to stack these on top of each other vertically, and I'm going to color coordinate the place values. Since we are adding by place value, that will help me keep track of each place value. 146. Okay, we're going to subtract these. And we can add these right to left, just like the traditional algorithm does it, or we can do it from left to right. Again, that is a little more intuitive because that is how we read, so it might be easier for your students to think about this going from the left place value and moving towards the right. So we're going to do 200 minus 100 is 100. And then we're going to do 80 minus 40 is 40. And then 7 minus 6 is 1. And so now all we need to do is think about the total amount that we have subtracted, and we subtracted all together 141. Let's look at decomposing next. For decomposing, we're going to do the problem 234 minus 167. So I think using a number line is maybe a little more visually pleasing to show decomposing. You don't have to use a number line. You could just do just the numbers and take chunks with just the numbers. But to show this visually, I think it helps to see us moving by these different chunks that we're decomposing the numbers from on a number line. So we can see how we're moving. So 234 is going to start on the right side. Because we're subtracting, we're moving to the left, so I want to make sure I have enough room to take out each of those chunks. Okay. And you can take out chunks however you would like, right? You can start in the ones place, you can start in the hundreds place, you can move to whichever place values you want whenever you want. I'm going to break down this amount into 100 and then 67. Okay, so the first amount that I will subtract or take away is going to be 100 minus 100. 234 minus 100 is 134, and I've taken out 100 already. So now I just need to take out 67, and that's a little tricky with the amounts that I have, and so I'm going to do that in smaller chunks. I am going to break up this 67. I think I'm going to take away this 4 here, right? So I can get to a 0 there. So I'm going to make this 67 4, and then the rest would be 63. Okay, so that I can now take away 4, just a small amount here, so I can get to 130. So I took away 4, and now I need to take away 63. Well, 63 is a little tricky. Let me move this up a tad so I can keep working. 63 is a little tricky. I'm currently at 130, and I want to get to 100 because I think that would be easier. So now I'm going to break up my 63 into 30. And then whatever's left over from that. So 63 minus 30 is going to be 33. Okay, so let me take away 30 so that I can get to an easier amount to work with for the rest of that. And I'm going to land at 100. Okay, so I took away that 30. Now I need to take away 33. Okay, 33, I'm going to break up into 30 and 3. I think I can subtract that amount. So I'm going to go minus 30 again, which is going to get me to 70. I did the 30. And now I'm going to take away that last 3. Minus 3. 70 minus 3 is 67. All right, next we are going to talk about the constant difference. We're going to do the problem 362 minus 158 as an example for how this strategy works. One of the easier ways to visualize what's happening with this strategy of constant difference is to show you on a number line, okay? I love number lines. It makes it easier for us to visualize what's happening with numbers. Okay, so here's my number line, and the idea for constant difference is that 158 is somewhere abstractly on this number line, and 362, it is bigger, and so it is going to be towards the right by some amounts, whatever that looks like. And so let me show you the idea of what is happening when we use this idea of constant difference, okay? Currently, the difference between this amount is this jump here. And so when I do the constant difference, let's say that I want to give to my 158. I want to give it to, which would make that 160, right? So I'm really going to be starting at 160. Well, in order to think about this being a constant difference, if I give to that 158, what I'm doing is saying I want this difference, this blue line, to stay the same. And so I'm going to move that to the 160. Now, when I move that, you can see how I am now ending up over here at the difference between 158 and 362. So I end up giving more to my 362 as well. It would be 2 more also. And so I'm finding the difference, that constant difference between 362 and 158 by changing it to the difference between 364 and 160. All right, let's do the final strategy of compensating. Compensating, we're going to use the example 407 minus 125. Okay, and to compensate, we are going to change this problem so that it is a different problem, an easier problem for us to do, and therefore we want to have as many zeros as possible, right? Subtracting with 7 is hard, and so I'm going to change this to 400 minus 125. 400 minus 125, 400 minus 100 is 300, 300 minus 25 is 275. And because I subtracted 7 here, I need to compensate for that. I need to add it back. So 275 plus 7 is 282. All right, so we went over 5 different non-traditional algorithms for subtraction. Those strategies were adding up or finding the difference, subtracting by place value, decomposing, finding the constant difference, and compensating. These non-traditional algorithms give you, the learner, the autonomy to use what makes sense to you. So hopefully you have a few more ways to subtract. You've learned something new. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.